Part 1. The Forgotten Echoes. The wind whispered through the desolate corridors of Pripyat, carrying with it the forgotten echoes of a tragedy that had scarred the land. It was a town frozen in time, abandoned after the catastrophic events of April 26, 1986, when the Chernobyl nuclear power plant had unleashed its deadly fury. In the years that followed, the ghost town of Pripyat became shrouded in an eerie silence, broken only by the haunting cries of the moths. These nocturnal creatures, said to be harbingers of doom, had claimed the abandoned city as their own. Olivia Reed, a renowned investigative journalist, had arrived in Ukraine to document the aftermath of the Chernobyl disaster. Armed with her camera and an insatiable curiosity, she delved deep into the heart of Pripyat, determined to unravel the mysteries that lingered in the shadows. As Olivia wandered through the decaying ruins, she noticed peculiar patterns etched on the walls and floors, resembling moth wings. The sight both fascinated and unnerved her, drawing her further into the heart of the darkness that permeated the forsaken city. One moonlit night, as Olivia ventured into an abandoned hospital, she stumbled upon a hidden room. The air was thick with decay, and the stench of death clung to her nostrils. In the center of the room, she discovered a diary, its pages yellowed and brittle with age. With trembling hands, Olivia opened the diary and began to read. It belonged to a young nurse named Anna, who had worked at the hospital during the Chernobyl disaster. Anna's words conveyed a sense of horror and despair that sent chills down Olivia's spine. According to Anna's account, the moths had emerged from the very heart of the nuclear disaster. They were not mere insects, but something far more sinister, a manifestation of the twisted energy that had been unleashed that fateful night. The moths hungered for human souls, drawing them closer to the radioactive epicenter. Olivia became consumed by her obsession with the moths. She dug deeper, trying to uncover any traces of the supernatural creatures lurking in the ruins. As she delved into the dark history of Chernobyl, whispers reached her ears of a cult that worshipped the moths, believing them to be the physical embodiment of a vengeful god. Part 2. Dance with Shadows. Determined to confront the source of the moths, Olivia sought out the cult's rumored headquarters, a dilapidated church hidden deep within the forbidden zone surrounding the nuclear power plant. Armed with a flashlight and a heart full of trepidation, she ventured into the heart of darkness. The church stood as a haunting monument to forgotten prayers. Its walls were adorned with moth symbols painted in blood-red hues. Olivia descended into the crypt below, where she discovered an altar adorned with moth carcasses, a grotesque offering to their malevolent deity. Unbeknownst to her, the cult had sensed her presence. A hidden trapdoor creaked open and she found herself falling into an underground chamber, lit only by flickering candles. The cult's members encircled her, their eyes wild with fanaticism. Their leader, a man known only as Vasily, stepped forward. He was a gaunt figure, his eyes gleaming with a mad intensity. Vasily believed that by offering Olivia as a sacrifice to the moths, he could gain eternal power and ensure the survival of his cult. Olivia, her voice filled with defiance, challenged Vasily. "You're playing with forces you don't understand," she warned. "The moths are not to be worshipped but stopped. They are devouring everything they touch." Vasily laughed, his voice a chilling echo in the chamber. "You know nothing, journalist. The moths are our saviors, our deliverers. They bring forth a new world, a world free from the chains of mortality." Bound and helpless, Olivia watched as Vasily chanted an ancient incantation, calling forth the moths from the depths of Chernobyl's tainted history. The air grew thick with the sound of fluttering wings, and the chamber filled with a spectral light as the moths materialized, their ethereal forms glowing with radioactive energy. Suddenly, a seismic tremor shook the underground chamber. The walls cracked, and debris rained down upon the cult members. In the chaos, Olivia managed to break free from her bonds and fled through the crumbling catacombs. Part 3. The Eternal Glow. Olivia stumbled upon a hidden laboratory deep within the bowels of the underground complex. It was a place where twisted experiments had taken place, the boundaries between science and sorcery blurred. Among the scattered papers and shattered glass, she found a journal belonging to a former scientist named Dr. Mikhailov. Dr. Mikhailov's research revealed a horrifying truth. The moths were not simply creatures born of radiation, but sentient beings that fed off human despair. They thrived in the shadowy corners of the world, drawn to places of great tragedy and sorrow like Chernobyl. Armed with this knowledge, Olivia raced against time to find a way to banish the moths forever. She discovered a forgotten relic, a medallion blessed by a forgotten sect that once battled supernatural forces. Legend spoke of its ability to seal away malevolent entities. With the medallion clasped tightly in her hand, Olivia returned to the church. She faced Vasily and his dwindling cult, the moths swirling around them in a frenzy. With a final cry, she activated the medallion's power, unleashing a blinding burst of light. The moths screeched in agony as they dissipated into nothingness, their ethereal forms consumed by the medallion's ancient magic. The curse that had plagued Chernobyl for so long was finally broken. Epilogue. Echoes in the dark years later, the world remembered the horror of Chernobyl as a cautionary tale. The tragedy that had unfolded there would never be forgotten. Yet the moths and their malevolence were consigned to the annals of legend, fading away like a distant nightmare. Olivia Reed became an advocate for the victims of Chernobyl, raising awareness of their plight and the ongoing struggles they faced. She carried with her the memory of the moths, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurks in the depths of human ambition. But even as Chernobyl's scars began to heal, whispers persisted. A hushed rumor that the moths had found new breeding grounds, their spectral presence felt in the wake of every tragedy. The world turned a blind eye, unaware of the lurking horrors that danced in the shadows, waiting for their chance to strike again. And so the story of the moths continued, an ever-present reminder that the line between reality and nightmares is often blurred, a tale that whispered of forgotten echoes and the lingering darkness that resides within us all.